One of the things that's very important to get young singers to do, of course, is to breathe and to do it in a very connected kind of way. And if you just start off your rehearsal with that, just getting them to breathe in a very connected way. And I'm going to use some instrumental approaches a little bit today to teaching vocal concepts. And I think it's very important for students to see the relationships between the two. But one of the things I often do is take this little snare drum approach. And I'm just doing my little paradiddles. And suddenly I realize, okay, this is where we connect the breath, right? We don't want the kids to be breathing up here, right? Shallow, 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 shallow. Then you get the students to, of course, begin these what I call breath calisthenics in a very connected and intentional kind of way, but you're also getting them to watch the conductor. You're also getting them to perhaps work with some dynamics here, working with accents, of course, and you're doing this dead silence. Once you do this enough, you can empower your students to do it. While you're taking roll or doing other things, just flip the classroom and empower them to do that. You'll find very quickly that they'll get very creative with you, right? They'll get very, very creative. One of the things I hope to do today is to offer some strategies that will enable us who work with middle level students and those of us who are working with what I'm calling the emerging SATB course to think about very critically and very carefully. I've done a lot of work over the last, this is my 27th year of teaching, it'll be 28 years of teaching. And what I'm constantly trying to do is find ways to teach technique, find ways to do it in a very creative way, but hopefully a very exciting way for young people. And the vocal warm-up is something that I've kind of specialized, focused a lot of my work on in the last 27 years or so. So I'm hoping to share some of those ideas with you today. You're going to be up and down quite a bit, so up again. The very first thing that I think about when I'm working in a classroom, of course, for the first time with young singers is definitely, of course, checking their posture. The breath comes along with that, but posture, of course, is very important. Very quick way to do it, of course, is feet slightly apart. And what I simply do very quickly, and I'm going to do this at the very end with a musical idea, but leaning forward, relax, and then coming up and rolling the shoulders back very quickly. So you've got this notion of leaning forward, relax, roll shoulders back. If your feet are shoulder width apart, that's a very quick way to adjust posture. Another way to do it is to think of it again using an instrumental approach. Take your string bass, for example. I'm doing the opposite right now. Okay, now obviously the neck of the bass is here, but I'm going to have you put it right in front of you. And if you do this, the bowing technique alone will help your singers to understand where that breath has to be connected. And on the inhalation, if you do the up bow, and then on the exhalation, the down bow, and you're holding the neck of this bass instrument, the posture is automatically going to have to lock into place because you can't hold a string bass like this, right? Right? So, hold the neck of your string bass, and on the inhalation, I have my singers think of themselves, of course, as filling up this balloon here, but like they're sipping through a straw, right? And their favorite soda pop of sorts, and you've got this. With me, use this analogy, go. Hold that string bass, and again. There's the inhalation, there's the exhalation. Now do it in one fluid motion so that when you get here, you don't stop. You don't want to build up tension in the larynx. So what you want to do is just do it as one full circle. Ready? And here we go. Do it again. And awesome. Now, you can do the same thing seated, but of course it's no longer string bass. It's a cello. And the opportunity, again, is for the students to, I don't know if any of you play cello, but if you've ever seen a cello chair, it's a little different, right? The back is straight, right? And so we're encouraging good posture whether they're standing or whether they are seated. And that's a very quick way, again, to get them using an instrumental idea to think about the breath. And of course, you can do all sorts of things with it, like, try that, ready, here we go. Awesome, let's sit down and let's do the cello player's breath very quickly. Do the same thing. Okay, same thing. Here we go. Ready, and. Once more, ready, and. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, let's say you want to use a brass instrument. I will sometimes do what I call the trombone player's breath, and it works the same way, except on the inhalation, you're in your resting position here, you go all the way out to 7th on the inhalation, and then on the exhalation, you go all the way back to resting position, then you go to 6th position, then you go to 5th, the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and then 1st. And what happens is they have less and less time and space in order to take in as much air as possible and in order to get rid of that air. And what you'll find is by the time they get to 4 and 3, well, you do this with me. Let's do this rather quickly. Here we go. 7th position. Here we go. Ready? Your inhalation going out to 7. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 and 6. 1, 2, T, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, T, 4, 5, 6, and 5, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4, and 4. 1, 2, T, 4, in. 2, T, 4, and 3, and 3. 1, 2, 3, in. 2, 3, and 2, and 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1. Very good. And so, again, you can walk around the room and have a look at all of your students and watch them do this. You can almost become like a drill sergeant, right? And you're just calling out the numbers. But what's cool about it is, and Dr. Freer and Dr. Bowers have talked about this earlier, about this whole notion of using a kinesthetic approach in order to help your singers to be successful. And what this does is this is a clear outward sign of what is going on inwardly. So if you see a student doing this, because it's very difficult for the breath, the voice, to contradict what the body's doing. You know, Janet Galvan, who is she's up at Ithaca, says that, you know, where the body goes, the voice will follow. So if you see a kid doing this, it's not likely that they're connected and engaged, right? So that's something that you can think about as you're working with students to sort of get that outward sign using a kinesthetic approach in order to see what's happening with their breath technique. Now, once you've got the breath going, of course, you can then begin to activate head voice. Stand up for me, please, quickly. And you're like, no, not again, not again. That's okay. So we've gotten the breath going, and we've done some interesting things with it. And then, of course, I like doing stretches with my singers. To the left, to the right. Gosh, I'm getting old. Oh, this is on tape, isn't it? Okay, to the left and to the right. So, and then I do my little raise the roof. And this is how I begin to activate the head voice. I say, raise the roof to the left. You go, ooh, ooh. Raise the roof to the left. Raise the roof to the right. Raise the roof in the middle. Raise the roof all night. Hands down at your sides, roll those shoulders forward. And we continue to work on getting that head voice activated. Let's do a train for a moment. Now again, this is reinforcing the breath connection, but watch what I can do with this. Not only am I getting you to do these breath calisthenics and to connect them, but I'm trying to kill multiple birds with one stone. Audubon Society, don't write me, sorry. So this is one concept, but now I'm going to layer on that another concept. For example, watching the conductor's gestures and following them. For tempo, for dynamics, for articulation. And I'm going to activate the head voice. When you see me do this, this is the train whistle or the train siren. Woo! That's all you're going to do. Okay, so you're just watching. So now I'm doing all of these things at the same time. I'm doing conducting gestures, tempo. I'm doing dynamics. I'm doing articulation. And I'm doing activation of head voice. Am I the conductor of the train or the conductor of the choir? Who knows, right? Maybe both. Miss it! Awesome. So you can do some amazing things to just to get the head voice activated. Another thing I like to do, I call elevators. And notice I am not worried about pitch right now. We're just trying to get as much as we can going with the larynx. We're trying to do as much as we can for highs and lows and just range expansion without centering on a particular pitch. We'll get to that in just a moment. But now we're just trying to get things activated and get things going. So we're going to 1, 2, and. Very good. Take out your imaginary texting devices and just simply repeat after me. Now, as I'm working through this kind of what I call fun stuff in a language that the young people understand, it is likely that on the board I will have the rhythm patterns that match what it is that I'm doing here. And so now, sort of auditorily, we're making these sounds, but then visually, I may go to the board and point to them on occasion. Because now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get into their minds and into their bodies and into the larynx, perhaps some of the rhythm patterns that we're going to be working on with our music. And then we can go from these types of activities, visualizing it, and once we open up our score to that very difficult piece that Dr. Bowers talked about at the early part of our rehearsal, I have now given them some of the rhythmic tools, and maybe even through some of the other warm-ups, some of the tonal tools, and maybe some of the expressive elements that they're going to be using in the rehearsal. So the warm-up process, ladies and gentlemen, in my mind, should never be limited to, oh, we're just gonna get the voices going. We should be thinking about how can I equip my singers with the rhythmic, tonal, expressive, and any other technical tools that they're going to need to be successful in tackling the piece of music or pieces of music that are before them. Have a seat for a moment. I'm getting on the soapbox. I know I'm going to make somebody mad, but you know what? My plane leaves at 5 o'clock, 5:30 or so. How many of us, be honest, have experienced in a rehearsal this? Okay, it's time for us to warm up. Here we go. Here we go on me, 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 me. Ready, sing. Okay, now you get the point. Now, I'm not here to slam that because I think everybody in this room has experienced that. But quite honestly, what sort of effect does that really have on the singers in terms of their technical development and their development of their musicianship skills? None. Well, maybe one. They're singing, they're phonating. But, first of all, I don't start low to high like that. But secondly, the opportunity for so much more to happen is in that warm-up sequence. And for us to throw it away just by doing something that may not have any meaning or connection to the music that we're going to be doing, I think is an opportunity and time wasted. So in my teaching at Temple University, every single piece of choral music that the students teach, they must develop a sequence of warm-ups, vocal warm-ups, and what I call vocal activities at the beginning of the rehearsal that they're going to employ that will be specifically designed to address the tonal, rhythmic, and expressive elements found in the music. If they don't do that, they fail the course. The reason being, we only have a limited amount of time, and so we must seize the opportunity to do as much as we can with our singers. Now, once you have done all of these things with lip trills, and my friend Dr. Freer has this thing called Scribble that I absolutely love, with creating wavy, scribbly lines on the board and having students do lip trills with that. My friend Jingling Tam, who's down here at UT Arlington, she'll put kids on motorcycles and do these. And so Dr. Freer, with the Scribble now, I make that an obstacle course, and the kids are, doing all sorts of things with that. So find creative ways to make that happen, and any kid can draw that on the board, and any kid can sort of lead the class in getting on that motorcycle and doing those lip trills. And again, it's about helping them just explore and expand vocally what they can do at the top and what they can do at the bottom. Then and only then do I go into focusing on specific pitches. And depending upon what the profile is of the student in your room, you may have to be very creative. Know your students. Know what their voices can do, know what their voices are struggling to do, maybe given this time of transition for some of them. That will determine what kinds of vocal warm-up activities you do. There is no such thing as one size fits all, but I think there are many possibilities within most vocal warm-ups that can enable you to find the right fit for your students depending upon where they are in their stages of vocal development. So, for example, I love doing descending so to do. I usually start at least an A or a B flat, maybe even a C if I want to make sure they're singing in head voice, right? So here's one for you. Stand up for me, please. Now, we'll do it unison, but I'm going to tell you how I modify that for singers, okay? So let's start actually let's just start a little lower. Let's start in D. Now, most of your singers, whether they are singing in the treble clef or in the bass clef, will likely be able to sing on an A. Likely. There will be some who will struggle with that even. But let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go back to our snare drum, okay? Listen to my pattern. Go. This side. This side. Go. Switch, go. Everybody back to the macro beat. Ready, go. My turn. This is the phrase that grows and grows. This is the phrase that grows and grows. My turn, sorry. Your turn. This is the phrase that grows and grows. This is the phrase that grows and grows, then tapers to the end. This is the phrase that grows and grows and tapers to the end. My turn. So, 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 so. So, 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 fa, mi, re, do, and. This side you're going to sing the solfege. This side you're going to sing this is the phrase that grows and grows and tapers to the end. 1 and 2 and ready, go. switch. Very good. Now, you can teach solfege using that reinforced solfege syllables of just descending sol to do. You can also, of course, incorporate the text. This is the phrase that grows and tapers to the end. What you might want to modify in the event that you've got singers who struggle, let's say you've got these young cambiata boys, they'll be able to sing the A, but they probably won't be able to go all the way down to the D. So you can keep them on there. This is the phrase that grows, and everybody else. So who wants to be a young cambiata? Okay, yes, okay, great. So you're going to sing, this is the phrase that grows, and everybody else goes on down. 1 and 2, and macro beat, go.
This is the phrase that grows, to the end.
So now, of course, you've got this sustained pitch, and of course, you've got everybody else singing going on down. So all of a sudden now you've developed part independence, and you've accommodated singers who are able to go all the way down the descending the fifth, and you've accommodated the folks who, the Johnny one notes as you say, who may not be able to get all the way down there. So now you've made some strides. Now let's modify this exercise. I'm going to teach breath management. Because the first time we sing this, we're going to sing, this is the phrase that grows and tapers to the end. And if you're a cambiata and you can't go all the way down there, just stay there and let's create the arc. 1 and 2 and ready, and this. So now in this same exercise, I have not only worked with solfege, I've not only hopefully taught and reinforced intonation of the descending sol to do pattern, but now I've added the expressive element of phrasing. I'm doing all of this with one exercise, so you can see the amount of possibilities of skill sets that you can teach and or reinforce all in one exercise. Now, here's where it gets harder. We're going to sing, this is the phrase that grows and tapers to the end. We're going to go up a half step. And what we'll do is we're going to add one more and grows. So we have, the first one is, this is the phrase that grows and tapers to the end. This is the phrase that grows and tapers to the end. Then we add one more. This is the phrase that grows and grows. You got it? And for those of you who want to just sustain the long note, you don't have to be a cambiata in order to do it. You can pick which one. So now I'm helping students to do a little bit of critical thinking. They can be creative in this process and go back and forth, but they can also engage in a little bit of critical thinking because they know what their capabilities are. And if they feel like, okay, it's getting too high now or getting too low, I'll sustain the first note, or maybe I just want to get better at it. So now you are giving the students some choice, but at the same time keeping some sort of structure in the exercise. You see where I'm going with this? Middle school students, they need the structure, but they also need room and latitude to be creative and to do some critical thinking and make some judgments on their own. Got it? And the research backs that. So let's try that, and let's create the arc. And when I get really creative, I get students in front of the room for counting how many of those in one, So just keep it going. Here we go. 1, 2, I'm going to run out of time. I know I am. 1, 2, ready, good breath. This is... You must show me, because I'm from the show me state. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and go. 3 of them. 4. 5. You got the idea, right? And what I'm doing is we're working on phrasing, but we're also working on breath management, because you have to sing. The phrase is expanding more and more with each modulation, but you can only do it in one breath. So have a seat. So you get the idea. We're trying to teach a lot of things, and I don't know where I am on this handout. Probably nowhere. So there are a lot of things that are on here, and I don't know if I'm going to even be able to get to all of them, but let's keep moving for now. How am I doing on time? Do I have a lot of time? A little time? Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. That's okay. Okay, good, 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 good. Okay, so now let's do a variation on this descending sol to do exercise. And I love doing this one because it helps the students to unify vowels. This one, it's at the top of the 3rd page of your handout. It says, "May we follow you?" May we follow you. Sitting up in your seats, please. Here we go. We're going to sing "May," and these are quick whole notes. So, may we. Here we go. Good breath. Ready. 2, 3, 4. 2 T 4. 2 T 4. 2 T 4. Good. Stand up for me, please. Yep, you're going to get a workout today. If I got to exercise, so do you. Good breath, please. Actually, let's do this. Put your music down. You don't need it. You don't need it. This isn't our church service. We're not going to read from the hymns right now. Put your hands right here. I call this my trapdoor approach to breath. And what I do is, as soon as the trapdoor opens, this is where the inhalation happens. Watch. And then we hand the sound as a gift. Okay? Okay, here we go. Here's your breath, and then sing "May." Here we go. Ready? And. Good. Do it using the bass player's breath. Here we go. Ready? And. So, notice I'm cycling back here. I'm spiraling back to earlier ideas, and then I'm adding one to it. Sing "May" using the bass player's breath. Here we go. And. Good. Keep singing. Keep singing. Lift this hand up. Good. Sing "we." Keep singing. We're going to unify that vowel. Keep singing. Right here. Do you hear it unify? Sing "fa." We're going to unify those vowels. Watch, do what I do. Sing "lo." Not quite unified yet, but we're going to make it right here. You hear how that vowel now is unified? Mormon Tabernacle Choir, look out. Sing "you." Do this. Pull out last night's linguini. So I call these my choir gang signs. And all you have to do for the is here. Same hand, but upside down. We fall. Like you're holding a beach ball. Low, softball to the face. You tighten it up. So each one of these gestures folds into the next, right? Here's here's E, here's ah, here's O, and here's oo. Sing "May" one more time. Show me your trap door this time. Ready? Sometimes I call this the balletic breath because it's like ooh, do, 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 do. Right? Here we go. Ready? You can't use that in middle school, by the way. Here we go. Ready? Trap door. Ready? Breath, and hand it to me. Hand here. Sing "we." Unify, right here. There it is, fa. Hands here. You hear how tall and unified that vowel becomes? Low. Not quite, but we're going to lock it in right here. You hear it locked in now, and you. This. Pull out last night's linguini. Now, there are tons of different ways kinesthetically to do that. This is just one way, and if it works for you, steal it, run like the wind, grasshopper, and use it with your singers. And one of the things that I found interesting about it is that, and I've yet to sort of go further with this, but I'm hoping to do so at some point if there's time in my life, is to actually figure out when students do this, or when singers do this, if they're able to really notice within their ensemble, you know, if there is a change in the vowel. And I will stop in the middle of a phrase, and in my conducting gestures, I abandon them, and I'll just do this. And then suddenly, things sort of lock in, and I'll freeze it, you know. And so it gets to a point where the singers, when they begin to see me do this, when they see me do this, when they see me do this, when they see me do this, and when they see me do this, they automatically, without even having to do it themselves anymore, know how to lock that in. You know, I sort of call it choral imprinting because I'm literally imprinting them with the gestures that I'm using, whether they're in the conducting manual or not, as a means of communicating to them concepts that I want them to continually to reinforce and to engage as soon as they see them, you know, on site. So excellent. Have a seat. Take a look at this. If you have a choir that is just able to sing in unison, of course you can keep them on the fifth if you want to, but I would also encourage, as singers, young middle school singers are going through, you know, voice transition, that you occasionally help them to expand toward the lower part of their range and the upper part of their range. And that may even include your boy singing all the way up here and then going down. And the reason I am a big proponent of that, just as Henry Leck is because I think that it's important to cover the entire span. And if you can keep boys singing, and girls for that matter, to the highest and to the lowest of their ranges. That doesn't mean you keep them there all the time with the literature, but if you could do that in a warm-up activity, you're going to set them up for vocal success later on. One of the things that concerns me about middle school pedagogy in particular with choirs is that I think we have to make sure that we are consistently rotating our female singers through soprano and alto written parts, because as Lynn Gackel has shown us through her research, and certainly some of my other colleagues, there is no such thing as a true soprano or true alto in 7th grade, right? And so think of what happens, though, if you decide to make that assignment to a particular singer who never gets to sing above the staff. And I think Dr. Bowers mentioned this earlier, that you're probably preventing their full development in terms of their vocal range. So one of the things I think is very important is to, for song A on the concert, this group of trebles sing soprano, this group of trebles sing alto, and for song B, switch. And in that way, you've got your treble singers always having experience singing the melody and singing the supporting harmony, which is often, of course, the lower part. In this way, you're going to guarantee a full experience for your singers. So take a look here. If you've got a 2-part choir and you are now moving into 2 parts, do what I've labeled as a soprano and alto part, but it doesn't have to be called that. If you've got 3 parts and you've got some of your cambiata boys who are moving into tenor and bass land and baritone land, then you can do 3 parts here. If you've got, you know, the full-blown low bass who's singing, then now do SATB. So let's just sing this in 4 parts, please. Bum, bum, bum. I said, la, fa, re, o, sol, mi, do. I grew up doing fixed do. I was so excited to see that fixed do choir up there. So sing May, please, and use your gang signs as you go through. Can you sit tall, please? Pretend that you are standing up from the waist up. I say that a lot with young singers. Or we'll say in our cello chairs. Here we go. May. Ready, prepare? And you can use your cello if you like. Ready, prepare? 2, T, 4. Hand. 2, T, T. 2, T, 4. 2. Who's singing tenor? Okay. So you get the idea. There's also Play the Alto Blues. I'm experimenting with that now, starting with an open fifth in minor mode. Why do altos have the blues? Because they never get the melody. So yeah, I guess. I don't know. Let's do something else that's sort of instrumentally inspired. Take a look at this one called Soap Opera. And you're going to be violin players and bass players. Stand up, please. Not again. Yes. Violin. No. We're going to take a breath. Our breath is going to be the up bow, and then we're going to sing. like. Here we go. Good breath. And. Play your bass, and you're going to pizzicato it. So now we were doing very connected, smooth bowing legato, détaché. Now we're going to do do, ti, la, so, fa, so, do. Ready, go. Ta, ta. Rest, 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 rest. Now, you pick a part right now. I'm not going to tell you which one to pick. Pick whichever one you want. If you are a singer who might, well, I'll tell you what the option is later, because there's an option for those of you who are in the middle, and I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. Here we go. So here's the accompaniment. You can air guitar. You can do that too. You can air violin or air cello right now. Air violin or air cello, but you're just playing and you're audiating. You're singing in your head. Here we go. Sing and Very good, and you can keep modulating, Why do I call it soap opera? Because you are the soundtrack for a soap opera. And, you know, Erica Kane has gotten her 30th divorce, and you're the soundtrack for that. Now, take a look here at what opportunities exist if you have a singer who is what I call caught in the middle, meet in the middle. Let's say those are our cambiatas. Look at the tenor bass line. I wouldn't take the cambiata may not be able to go lower than about a G, maybe about an A if they're sort of in, I think it's cambiata 1 stage. So what you would do is bum, 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 bum. That is what's called part shifting, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to have to be able to creatively do that from time to time. So what I did is the first 2 measures, or 1 measure and 1.5 beats, we did the tenor, what's written in the tenor bass part. And then we shifted to what's written in the soprano alto part. So what you've got is, these cambiatas who are going to be schizophrenic, right? They're going to go boom, 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 da, dee, da, da. Okay? Let's all do that part. Here we go. Ready, 2, and and Now we have 3 parts. We have people who are singing da 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 da. It's just do to re, do to ti, and then back to do. So that's what we're reinforcing in terms of our solfege and our intonation. And then, of course, we've got the dum, bum, 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 descending, right? Okay, so now we've got 3 parts. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and Very good, and you can modulate, right? So now what we've done is something called part shifting, and you may have to do that, and you have to look very carefully at where those opportunities will exist for your singers. I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to skip the minor third. It's a little jazz groove, but I don't have time for it right now. So sway with me, please. Sway, 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 sway. 6/8 time. So, do, ti, ti, la, la, so. So, do, ti, la, la, so. So, fa, mi, re, do. So, fa, mi, re. My turn. So, do, ti, la, la, so. So, fa, mi, re, do. So, do. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. Articulate the words to be sung. Articulate the My turn, do the hand signs. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. articulate the words to be sung. Your turn. I'm going to teach you another part. Keep swaying. You're going to audiate it, and you're going to start on this note. Listen inside your head. I'll do it again. Sing it inside your head. You know this note. Listen. Can you sing the new tune on solfege? So. Do it once more. Do you remember the original melody? Sing it and. This I do melody 1, this I do melody 2, go. Can you sing it on the words? Okay, have a seat. I want us to name all of the musical concepts that was taught in that one vocal warm-up. Let's just go around. Go. Okay, major descending major scale, yes. Duple meter, yep. Articulation, what else? Intervals, what else? Okay, yep. Audiation. Steady beat, anything else? Hand signs, yes. Anything else? 6/8, anything else? Tonal retention. So that exercise took probably 120 seconds to teach. But think about the number of concepts you learned or reinforced from that. So when I talk about the warm-up experience as being an opportunity, it really is just that. It's an opportunity to make sure that you teach and reinforce the skill sets that are needed for the students to be successful. And then they can transfer. They can transfer. Notice I didn't teach you the second melody by rote. You learned the second melody based on what you already knew about the first one. Good critical higher order thinking skills, right? Don't underestimate your middle school students. They are faster than you. So again, find these opportunities for your singers. One of the things that Pat mentioned in the segment where we had the discussion sort of struck a little nerve here in that I run my classrooms and I run my Department of Music Ed and Music Therapy on a principle that I don't know if I developed it or devised it, and if I did, patent pending, Tony, what's that guy's name? Tony Robbins or whatever, look out. So I call it the OPOP principle. We have the option, that's another OP word, but we have the option to look at any situation, including that with our students, our middle school students, as either obstacles and problems, that's the first OP, or as opportunities and possibilities. And here's the thing. The moment you walk in front of that group of kids for the very first time, they, within 3 seconds, will know if you are looking at them as obstacles and problems or as opportunities and possibilities. And your life in that class is going to move forward based on that. Before you sing the first note, before you plunk the first pitch on the piano, how are you going to look at your young people and how are you going to approach them? As obstacles and problems or as opportunities and possibilities? It's very possible and very likely that there may be some kids in there who don't want to be in there, who may have been dumped in there because they're trouble in other classes or they don't play an instrument and whatever the case may be. But how you see them is going to determine the atmosphere, the environment, and the tone of how everything moves forward in your relationship with the student individually, but also with them collectively as an ensemble. Don't let it be the first OP. I promise you, you're done if that's the case. In fact, I'm here to tell you, this is on tape, don't go into teaching. Go do something else. I gotta move on. Okay. There's another version of this. The lips, a little jazz gospel. The teeth, the tip of the tongue, articulate the words to be sung. If you want the tune, if you want the piano accompaniment, email me. I haven't written it down yet. It's just up here. Range extension, you can do things with arpeggios, of course, kind of thing, and then 1-5-1. One of the things I love developing in terms of aural skills is this harmony blend at the bottom of the page. I want to blend and da-do-do. This will accommodate all of your singers. Range-wise, again, A is a good note to start on. If you were to sort of take if you were to take all of the ranges of the boys' changing voice from cambiata on down to new baritones and basses, you'll find that the commonality between them is somewhere around low G to B flat, below middle C. So I use that A as kind of an anchor point to help singers. And there'll be times when your boys don't have that note. This note A, your low basses are going to want to sing here. So there's an ascending scale that actually goes with this. But let's sing, I want to blend in harmony. Let's all sing the A. Ready? And I want to blend in. If you're moving into two-part singing, you only go into two parts on the last two notes. You go up to da-da-da, and you can do this on solfege. Do it in two parts, go. Here you go. Very good. And even with and so that can be an amazing opportunity for your singers who are just learning to sing independently. And of course, that's because you've got this this drone sustained pitch, and then you're singing against that. And if you're using solfege, I will often do this. Sing what you see, hear, does, and keep singing. I just prepped you for singing that exercise in two parts now, right? So there are ways in which you can very quickly make that happen. Now if you've got a treble chorus, or even an SAB or SATB chorus, you can divide them up any way you want. Now let's add da 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 da. But don't sing the low notes. Ready? Here we go. Pick a part. Now sing all four, when we start to split out, go to all four notes. And Now, your low basses who only want to sing down here, you can have them sing an ascending scale. I want to blend. I have them sing te, lowered 7. Low basses, sing that. They find that G natural to be pretty cool. Now everybody sing all the other parts, and basses, B basses. Ready? And